Hello people on the internet that for whatever reason, that is probably my clickbait, decided to turn into this godless fucking channel of mine, and welcome to another video where I turn to youtube.com to remove the last bit of faith that I have left in humanity. Today's reasons to ponder the pros and cons of unaliving yourself is a YouTuber going by the name Finding Sky. We will be covering a video that she made called I'm Gay and I Dislike the LGBT Community. But before I even talk about Sky, there's something that I just want to address, I guess, and that's where have I been? Nobody has asked. Why has no one asked? Also, if you don't care about this, if you're not a subscriber, if you're just here for the drama and time code. That being said, I moved to Germany, away from Namibia, which was where I stayed before, and I didn't feel comfortable sharing that before, but now, you might as well know, in Germany you won't find me, there's too many people. And now I'm here. And it took me a while to get settled. My girlfriend broke up with me, which, good feeling that. I don't have camera yet. I don't have a camera yet. This is my boss's. Cheers. This is my boss's. And I'm just using it for the time being. I won't be able to edit on the same program as before for now because it's quite expensive and I'm broke. So yeah, that's that. But there should be more videos from here on out again. I missed you guys, and I hope you're still here and that I didn't lose my entire subscriber base that I built up over the last year. So yeah, on with the video, I guess. Now, if a title like I'm gay and I dislike the LGBT community doesn't scream, hey, please make me your token gay person loudly enough already, the points that she makes certainly do.
It may be interesting to hear that I'm actually extremely ashamed to be a part of this community. And look, I know we've come a long way. There was a period of time when anyone who wasn't heterosexual was scrutinized or in severe cases even killed. And as glad as I am that I can walk down the street holding a girl's hand and not face the scrutiny.
For first example, she starts this video out by admitting that gay people used to be discriminated against and makes the whole thing sound like it's a thing of the past that doesn't happen anymore. Guys, we don't need pride anymore. Why are you all in my face? Stop. Basically that shtick, right? I'll tell you why we should care. If we look at statistics from UCLA, by the way, sources will be in the description, we can see that queer people are four times more likely to be the victims of violent crimes. Considering they are less in numbers overall, it's kind of odd how that happens, is it not? It's almost like those times aren't really behind us, Sky. And if she gave us any evidence, maybe she'd have a point. But this is the problem with Sky. You see, where you or me, we'd be like, oh, here's my claim, here's why I have this claim. No, Sky is just like, here's my claim. And I'm supposed to believe it. I'm sorry, Sky, but if you want to sound like a skeptic or you want to be all clever and ooh, I'm so fucking annoying and so cool and so smart and I'm so smarmy, then do it right. You're not doing the whole research thing, right? You're not doing the whole smug, clever child well.
Point of acceptance and are now at the point of blatant indoctrination. Someone has to say it. These pride parades have gotten disgusting. It's not even about acceptance anymore. It's a provocative and aggressive public display of hypersexuality and fetish. What was supposed to be an accepting and innocent space has turned into a hostile freak show. I didn't go to Pride, never will, unless it's to document the absurdity of.
For whatever reason, this sad excuse of a person is not only so bad at color grading it makes her look like the yellow M&M after falling asleep in a tanning salon, but is equally as bad at backing up her thesis for this entire video without any proof that won't collapse the second you start thinking about it. Not actually experiencing something and still making your judgment on it based on what you see in the media is what makes people like you sheep rather than the radical freethinkers that you'd like to claim you are. You see, people at pride parades wear revealing clothes, but dude, so do people at other kinds of parties. Or at least they do here in Berlin, so I don't really get the whole panic around some chest harness wearing folks. In my experience, the amount of people wearing these clothes are far less than those that are wearing normal clothes anyways at these events. So to paint the whole movement as a BDSM-loving freak fest is not only very dishonest, but also just looks kinda dumb to anyone that has any actual experience with this event. Which you clearly don't. Otherwise, you wouldn't be this fucking stupid. And not to be that guy that's like, actually, kink and fetish way is in no way a new thing, as Sky claims, and has been an integral part of the fight against sexual norms that would eventually normalize queer identities in this world. Sure, If you don't understand why some people do this, it's easy to shit on it. But this kind of radical counterculture has historical importance in this movement and should always be remembered for what they did for us in the past. Just a quick example so that I don't stand there like Sky just pulling shit out of my ass. In the beginning of the AIDS pandemic during the 70s and 80s when the STD was blamed on homosexuals, these same queer and fetish communities were the ones that would throw parties and other kinds of events in an effort to raise money for medical bills, and were among the first to not treat those afflicted as if they had the Black Death itself. So yeah, 70s, 80s, kind of a long time ago. Not doing any research on what makes you mad and to then claim that it's new and is destroying what the LGBTQ stood for, when really it always stood for this and you just don't care enough to question your own biases, is the kind of thing that makes people think you're dumb. It's kind of funny how these guys have a problem with leather straps, but will storm the parliament while waving a flag that fought to uphold legal slavery. Like, I know for a fact that your ancestors would have been a huge fan of BDSM, if for the whips alone.
It's no longer associated with peace, love, unity, and tolerance. Instead, it's associated with hypersexualization, provocation, fetish, and bigotry. I don't know what happened to the days when we would encourage people to accept themselves and make peace with those who disagree with us. Because now we just scream obscenities at anyone even whispering a subtle argument.
She never really talks about any form of bigotry and still pins it on the LGBTQ. Sky, please explain your fucking claims. You look like a person that claims they were abducted by aliens when asked if they have a picture that was shot from a phone that came out in the last 10 years. You look stupid, and you look like someone guided by emotion rather than anything resembling rationality, even though you think you're a skeptic or something like that. And not to be petty, but to be petty. It's a really sad fucking sight.
This community has managed to weaponize its own labels and use them unfairly, not hesitating to label any opposition as transphobic or homophobic. It's funny because we used to be the ones complaining about intolerance.
Oh my god, I don't know what happened to the days when we would just accept being discriminated against both socially and systematically, and all decide to agree to disagree on that. Sky, if wanting gay people to not be seen as equal in society is not homophobic, then what the fuck is?
Holding hands in public were a risk of being fucking shot. They couldn't adopt kids, get married, start a family, so I completely understand why we spent so many years fighting for tolerance. But we have it now. And ever since we've been shown tolerance, we're now the ones refusing to reciprocate it.
Yet Again Sky, which is such a classic white girl name by the way. Where is your motherfucking evidence? And no, we don't have equal rights yet. You want some evidence? Because I actually give evidence to support my theory. And yes, I am fuming just a tiny bit. So, a month before you recorded this very video, or uploaded it at least, I don't know when you recorded it, Florida, the state, introduced a bill that allows the state to take transgender minors away from their families. I honestly don't know what is dumber. The fact that you bring absolutely no evidence to the table to support your own claims, or the fact that you straight up lie about other things just because you like being right that much. Oh yeah, in case you're interested, here's a bit about Sky's childhood. Because I asked, and I'm sure you did too.
Flipped completely, and it's not for the better. See, back in the day when I was a little G rolling up on my Heelys trying to finesse the hoes, I didn't even know what gay was, much less what trans was. I grew up in the South, the deep South, like frogging, gator hunting, Confederate flag South. I thought LGBT stood for let's go beer tasting.
Let's go beer tasting, guys. It's like the letters LGBT. Let's go beer tasting. No? Yeah. It's honestly the same kind of joke as my pronouns are USA, or my pronouns are eat my ass. That's an offer.
I didn't know a single gay person in my life, and I didn't have a phone or any type of social media to be exposed to it either. And yet somehow I looked like this. Yeah, that's 7 or 8 year old me dope slinging and pimping since 01, baby. My idol, if you can't tell, was Rob Deerdeck. And let me tell you, I got made fun of all the time. If only I had $1 for every time someone asked me, are you a boy or a girl? Why do you dress like a boy? And I would always get so pissed off when people would call me gay, faggot, dyke, because at the time, I didn't know that I was gay. So I would just be standing there like, What the fuck are you even talking about? I'm none of these things that you're calling me. It wasn't until I was going into high school that I realized, oh shit, I like tits.
I know I've been shitting on Sky a lot, but this last section I'm gonna go a bit easier, because it's a lot more personal than her political beliefs, right? And I feel like that's a very low blow if I went for that. What I find very sad is how she describes never having met a gay person back then, and how she used to dress up more boyish while hating insults like boy, or being called boyish, or being called those kind of things, until she realized that she is gay. But instead of actually realizing that this is exactly why representation matters, so that kids like her have somebody that they can relate to and feel less alone in this world too, she decides to go the opposite route, which is very painful to watch.
City. I was never constantly in my head thinking, oh, if I do this masculine thing, then this feminine. No. What 8-year-old kid thinks about that? For an 8-year-old kid to be thinking like that, they would either have to be medically neurotic or extremely brainwashed by social media. I didn't have TikTok or Instagram as an 8-year-old kid, thank God. And I feel genuinely sorry for kids growing up on these platforms being exposed to all of these attention whoring and degenerate ways of life.
This is where Sky's true colors really shine. Instead of empathizing with somebody that expresses themselves in a less traditional way, she then decides to stamp them off as degenerate ways of life. Now, I don't know if you guys see what I see here. What I see is a little Sky dressing like a boy normally would, and someone, or maybe different people, repeatedly telling her that she's weird, worthless, or looking for attention because of the way she carried herself. This is no doubt would have cut her deep at such a young age, and she even admits to this being the case. After all, this is a very direct attack on her most authentic expression of herself, and that, I have no doubt in me, made this cut leave a nasty scar. The kind of scar that now flares up in adulthood here and there because she never took care of it. So when she sees others doing what she did back then, she can't help but feel the need to tell them that what they're doing is nothing but degenerate, and that they should try to fit in rather than being something the rest of society might not fully understand. She was taught that someone being different isn't them being true to themselves, but rather that they are doing this because they are attention-seeking individuals who fake their gender identity.
They don't get to see that all the real trans people are discreet. You don't know that they're trans because they don't want you to know. They want to blend in as a normal person and live a normal life as their changed gender. They don't want anyone asking their pronouns. They want it to be so obvious that you just assume their gender. That's why they spent thousands of dollars on corrective surgeries, so that you could look at them and not ask what they are. That's the whole point of a transition. All of these people you see on social media boasting about their transgenderism are the ones transitioning out of a feeling of emptiness and need for validation.
According to her, someone is only really trans if they conform to what society expects of the gender they identify with. And those that consider themselves non-binary or something of that sort are not even worth addressing, even though she uses them as B-roll when discussing trans people to yet again desperately hold onto her truth, rather than being honest in her argumentation. Once you realize that all Sky really wants is acceptance and validation in an attempt to put a band-aid over the hurt that she lived through as a child, this whole video, and really her entire channel, makes so much more sense. It's a very sad individual who above all wants to be recognized as one of the good ones, or as a cynic who is, rational. But Sky fails to live up to either of those two standards. Instead of being accepted, she's seen as nothing more than the girl that serves as proof that even gay people think that gay people are going too far, and not for her true self or other opinions that she may hold. And her comments reflect that very sad reality. Here's a few of them now.
Yes, for the first time in years, acceptance is down. It's not because everyone's suddenly homophobic. It's because the movement has become absolutely insane. I love this. Finally, a sane LGB has come out and talked about this. I am straight. I have felt bad for decent LGB people to have to be included into that community. I think, girl, you don't need to be in that community. You are in world community. Although I don't mind normal people who are LGBT and don't push their beliefs on other people, I can't stand the individuals who use the ideology just to expose themselves in front of children. There was a pride parade where a group of naked men and women rode bikes in front of children, and the police didn't even arrest them because they were oppressed. Even though this girl is just telling her story, she's not as bad as the really mentally ill. She's just a girl who likes girls, and even though that's still wrong, she doesn't go around trying to convince people that she's a man.
But Sky doesn't just fail to live up to something bigger than the gay person that doesn't like gay people. She also doesn't come across like a free-thinking cynic that questions everything, but rather as someone so obsessed with being right that they forgot to actually research anything they talk about. So instead of letting evidence guide her, to a conclusion like a true thinker would, she came up with a conclusion and worked backwards. Sky is a very sad example of someone selling their own dignity for views online, and I hope that the future, holds something brighter for her, and that she'll approach content creation with a bit more research and integrity to back up her claims. I don't mind having opposing beliefs. I just mind if they're built on a bunch of, nothing. With that sad ending to what I thought was actually going to be a lighter video, I'll take my leave. Much love, and while I was gone, I passed the big 400. I appreciate that, guys. Let's see if we can't, rack those numbers all the way to 500, because then I can do community things like community posts, and I have a community section on my channel, and I think that's really cool. So please subscribe. Love you all, and till next time. Cheers. It's good to be back. Mwah.